everyone, it's Megan here from Meghan Makes Do, and today we're going to work on the sleeves of our Ranie sweater as well as finishing the neckline. So you notice here that I have seamed up my sides and I've left a gap here for my armholes. So you'll have that on both sides, and we're going to be attaching our yarn into the armhole and making the sleeves directly onto the edge of our sweater. So go ahead and grab your yarn and hook, and we'll go ahead and get started. Both sleeves are worked the same. We're going to start by attaching our yarn on the edge of the armhole right where the seam is. I usually do it right to the left of the seam. So you can see we're just going to insert our hook there, and then I'm going to grab my yarn and we'll go ahead and attach. Okay, so attach your yarn, and then we're going to chain one, and then we're going to single crochet into that same spot that we just attached our yarn. Oops. And then we're going to single crochet evenly all the way around, making sure that you work a single crochet into the edge of each row. And make sure that you're following along with the pattern and putting the right number of single crochet that coordinates with your size around your armhole. Obviously, since I'm making a mini version here, my number of stitches will be quite smaller than what you guys will be making for whatever size your Ranie sweater is. But we're just going to single crochet evenly around the edge of the armhole until we get back where we started. Okay, so here we've reached the end. We're right back where we started, and we're just going to slip stitch to our first single crochet to join. And that's the end of our first round of our sleeve. So now we're going to go ahead and work round two. We'll start with the chain two. Instead of just continuing on, we're actually going to turn after every round for our sleeves. That way we'll get the same stitches on the right side of our work as we would when we're working the bodies of the sweater. So chain two and turn, and then we're going to work a half double crochet into each stitch around. And again, just like our front and back panels, the chain two does count as a stitch. So go ahead and work your half double crochet all the way around until we get back to that chain two. Okay, so here we've reached the end of round two, and you can see our chain two is right here. We're going to go ahead and slip stitch into the top of that chain two to join our round. Okay, and then for round three, we're going to chain one and again turn. We're going to be turning after every round. We're going to work a single crochet into the same stitch as our join that we joined into. And then we're going to chain two, skip one, and work a single crochet. And then again, chain two, skip one, work a single crochet. So we're going to be following the same pattern repeats as we did for the front and back panel. There's just a few rows in these repeats that will be slightly different when we're working in the round. So continue to chain two, skip one, and single crochet all the way around your sleeve. Okay, so we're coming up to our last repeat here. So I chain 2, I'm skipping 1, and then working a single crochet into that last stitch. And then I'm just going to slip stitch to the first single crochet to join, and that completes round 3. Okay, so for round 4, we're going to chain 2, and again, we're going to turn our work, and this chain 2 actually counts as the first stitch at the end. So we're not going to work into that one. We're going to work a half double crochet into our first single crochet. Okay, and then we are going to work another half double crochet into the chain 2 space. Then we're going to chain 1, skip the single crochet, and work a half double crochet into the next chain 2 space. And again, chain 1, skip the single crochet, and work a half double crochet into the chain 2 space, and we'll repeat that all the way around. So we started with that chain 2, it'll actually count towards the last half double crochet of a row, kind of like how it would on the front or back panels. So just continue to work a half double crochet into the chain 2 space, chain 1, skip the single crochet, and then work another half double crochet into the chain 2 space until you get to the very end. Okay, so here we are, we're almost to the end. We're going to skip 1, work a half double crochet into the chain 2 space, and then we've gotten to that chain 2, so that would actually count as our last half double crochet if we were doing rows. So we're just going to go ahead and slip stitch into the top of the chain 2 that we started with to finish row 4 or round 4. Then we're just going to chain 1 and turn. This chain 1 does not count as a stitch. And we're going to single crochet into each stitch around, including starting with the one that we joined into. So if it helps to use stitch markers when you're working the sleeves, go ahead and do that. I like to sometimes put one into the very first stitch of each row or round to help me keep track. And just remember that we're going to be turning after every round as we go, so that we get the same little detail from our half double crochets showing on the right side of our work. Okay, so we've reached the end of round 5, and we're just going to finish that off by slip stitching into the first single crochet to join. Then for round 6, we're going to start with a chain 3 and then turn, and our chain 3 is going to count as 1 half double crochet stitch and 1 chain stitch. So we're going to skip the first stitch and then work a half double crochet into the next 2 stitches. So work 2 half double crochet. There's 2, and then we're going to chain 1 and skip 1 and work another 2 half double crochet. And we'll just repeat that all the way around. Again, chaining 1, skipping 1, and working 2 half double crochet. And then just make note, if you're following along with the written version on the blog or if you've purchased the PDF, round 6 on the sleeves will be different depending on what size you are making. So how we end round 6 depends on what stitches we have. So extra small and 2x are a little bit different than the other other sizes. So just keep repeating that all the way around until we get to the end. Okay, so we've gotten close to the end of round 6. You can see I have 2 stitches left, and then this chained 3 here counts as my first half double crochet and a chain 1 space. So I'm going to chain 1 and skip 1 and work 1 half double crochet into the last stitch, and then I'm going to slip stitch to the second chain where I started to join. So I'm going to leave that last chain unworked. So this one follows sizes extra small and 2x. If you're making a different size, you will just chain one, skip one, and then slip stitch to the top of the chain 2. So on some sizes you'll work an extra half double crochet, on the other sizes you won't. So just make sure that you're paying attention to what size you're making. And then for round 7, we're going to go ahead and chain one, turn, and work a single crochet into the same stitch as join and into each stitch all the way around. Okay, so I've gotten to the end of round 7. I'm going to work my last stitch. This one's going into a chain space. It could be a little tricky to get into, but I'll work my last single crochet and then I'm going to slip stitch to the first single crochet I made to finish off that round. Okay, and then for round 8, we're going to chain 2 and turn. Our chain 2 counts as a stitch. And then I'm going to half double crochet into each stitch around. And you notice that finishes off our pattern repeat. And remember, these rounds for the sleeve will match with the rows that we did for the front and back panels as well. Okay, so we've reached the end of round 8 and we're just going to slip stitch to the top of the chain 2 to join. Okay, and then what you're going to do, you'll see here I've got my rows 1 through 8 of my sleeve. What you're going to do is you're going to repeat rounds 3 through 8 4 more times to finish off your sleeve. Now you can make it longer or shorter depending on what your preference is. Definitely make it to a length that you feel comfortable with. But you'll repeat as many times as you'd like rounds 3 through 8, and then we'll move on to the cuff. So since I'm making a smaller version here, I'm just going to do that one pattern repeat, and now I'm going to go ahead and show you how to work the cuff of our sleeve. Okay, so to start our cuff, for round 1, we're going to chain 1 and turn. And then for our cuff, we're going to need an even number of stitches, but since we have an odd one, we have to decrease by 1. So to start round 1, we're just going to single crochet 2 stitches together, and that will give us an even amount of stitches at the end. So from there, you're just going to single crochet into each stitch around. Okay, so we've gotten to the end, so we're just going to slip stitch to the first stitch to join. So now for the cuff, instead of turning after every round, we're just going to continue on just working in the round. So we're going to chain 1, and our first stitch we're going to work into the back loop only, and we're going to work a single crochet. Then the next stitch, we're going to work a center single crochet. So if you look at each stitch, you'll see 2 bars in the front that make a little V. We're going to go in between those V's. So in between the bars for your center single crochet. And then the next stitch, we're going to work a single crochet in the back loop only. And then again, the next one, going in between those bars in the front of the stitch, we'll work a center single crochet. So you're just going to be alternating the single crochet in the back loop only and the center single crochet all the way around. Okay, so we're going to work our last center single crochet stitch, and then we are going to slip stitch to the top of our first stitch to join. Okay, so you'll kind of start to see this like faux ribbing that we're creating at the end, but after this next round you'll be able to see it a lot clearer. So for round 3 we're going to chain 1 and again work single crochet in the back loop only, and then we're going to work a center single crochet into the next stitch. So, and again, repeat that over and over all the way around. So for rounds 3 through 7, you're gonna be working a back loop only single crochet into the back loop only single crochet from the row below, as well as the center single crochets will be worked into the center single crochets. So you'll always know what stitch you should be doing next when you're working all the way around your cuff. And again, for the cuffs, same as with the sleeves, if you want to make them longer you can, if you want to do less rows you can, it's really a preference, it's up to you. But after this round you'll be able to see more clearly the ribbed effect that we'll be making using those 2 stitches together. Okay, so we've gotten to the end and I'm going to slip stitch to join. So here you can see, you'll start to see, you can tell that I have this little like faux ribbing going on using these 2 stitches. So again, you'll just do rounds 3 through 7. And once you're done with that, you'll be done with your sleeves. Just repeat it on the other side, doing the same exact instructions for the sleeve and cuff into the other armhole. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is finishing up our Ranies by making the neckline. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip our sweater over. It should be right side facing you. And then just into one of the back stitches along the back of the neck, we're going to attach our yarn. And then we're going to chain 1 and we're going to work a single crochet into the same stitch as the join and all the way around our neckline. So along the back you'll be working into stitches, and then along the front V shape you're just going to be working into the ends of the row. I work 1 single crochet into each end of each row. If you feel like it's pulling or tugging, definitely you can add more single crochets into the edges. It might take a trial and error to get the right tension for your neckline, but just easily single crochet all the way around the neckline, and then we'll slip stitch to the first stitch to join. Okay, so we're at the end of round 1 and we're just going to slip stitch to join. And here you can see that we're getting a nice crisp neckline here while using the single crochet, just making those edges a little bit neater and nicer looking to finish it off. So then from here we're going to go ahead and just do one more round of single crochet going all the way around our neckline. So again, we're not going to turn, we're just going to single crochet all the way around by chaining one, and then work a single crochet in the same stitch as our join and all the way around into each stitch that we worked for round one. Okay, so again, we've reached the end of our round and we're just going to slip stitch to the first stitch to join, and then you can go ahead and fasten off. And you'll see that we've completed our neckline, and that will be the finish of our Ranie sweater. And the only thing left to do is to weave in all of our ends. So I hope that you guys enjoy these tutorials. Again, you can find the complete written version of the Ranie sweater on my blog at meghanmakesdo.com, as well as a PDF version that you can print out at home that's available in my shop. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe.